The e-bike market is exploding right now, and unfortunately, a lot of riders are going to get hit with a really big surprise financially that I don't think they're aware of. There's two reasons for this, but I also have two solutions. My name is Rob Sutton with Bike 198, and that's what we're going to cover today. So let's get at it. As you can see behind me, this is my Trek Rail 9.8. It has been a great bike out on the trail, and I've actually had it for a couple of years now. But what we need to cover today is the uniqueness of the e-bike market and how it's going to affect you as a rider when you go to buy and sell your bikes over time, and what you need to do to make sure that you don't lose a ton of money in the process. So those that know my family, the only thing I love more than riding my bike with my son is actually getting out on the lake and surfing. And there are a couple of things that I learned from the boat market that directly apply to e-bikes that we have not seen in this market ever before. So just like with boats, e-bikes are changing on a yearly basis right now when it comes to technology. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you're buying an e-mountain bike, what you're actually buying is a piece of tech. And that is a first for the industry. So what are the two things that people are going to worry about when it comes to resale value on e-bikes? It's going to be the technology that's actually in the bike. That includes the motor, the battery, and the controls. So let's get into that first. It is changing yearly when it comes to e-bikes. The batteries are getting better, the motors are getting smaller and stronger, and they're coming up with new ways to control all of those functions on the bike that are changing every single model year. If you look at this Trek 9.8 behind me, it originally came with a Purion control system. Now, I was able to upgrade this one to a kiosk, which also wasn't exactly an easy process. But if you look at the Trek rails now, they actually have a lot slimmer Bosch setup on them that doesn't even have an external computer on it like this one has. So I'm not going to start drilling into this frame to try to actually upgrade the bike. It just isn't upgradable to that point that the new bikes are seeing. So what does that mean? People are going to start to care what kind of controls and battery are on the bike itself. Because of the rate the technology is actually changing, being 2 or 3 years removed in model years can actually make a really big difference on the technology of the bike. So the depreciation hit that you're going to take on waiting 2 to 3 model years can be a lot larger than it was in the past than a conventional mountain bike. Yes, we've seen difference in standards come out over the years, but it won't be as nearly big of a hit as it is when it comes to the e-bike market. Now, the second thing people are going to start asking, like they did with boats with ours, is mileage on the motor itself. You didn't have this with conventional mountain bikes. All you had to do is change out your chain, cassette, and a couple other components, and the bike was fresh as new. That is not going to be the case with e-bikes. They are going to wonder how much mileage and how much wear and tear is on that motor because one, it's not cheap to fix, it's not cheap to rebuild, and it's not cheap to replace. So that is going to become a really big factor in resale value as you look down the line at upgrading your bike as time goes on. So the big question is, how do you mitigate this risk and make it so that you don't lose so much money on such a big investment when you're looking at upgrading your bike? So the first option here is going to be the not so popular one, and that is you just don't keep your bike as long. You're changing it out every model year or maybe every other model year to stay on top of the market and keep the latest technology and not depreciate as much as you would wait 3 to 4 years when this technology might be almost obsolete. So your best option here is to get a really good relationship with the local bike shop so you can make sure that you're buying at a really good price to begin with, and then you're unloading it during a time where it hasn't hit that depreciation because of the outdated technology. So it makes it so you have to swap out your bike a lot more than you used to in the past. Now, the second option here is one that I recommend more often, and that's don't buy the top of the line e-bike. What you want to look at here is which bike do you want and what is the bottom end spec that you can get and still have the frame, battery, motor, and control unit that you want. And then use that savings to actually upgrade the components that really matter, whether it be the brakes, fork, or wheels. So what you're doing here is keeping your upgraded components that then will probably be able to go onto the next bike that you are purchasing, but then you take those original components, put them back on the bike, and the amount of money that you hit in depreciation is not nearly as much as if you would have bought the top of the line bike that now has outdated tech. Then you rinse and repeat that process as you go. So what this does over time is just a basic formula. You're trying to buy and sell bikes with the least amount of cost that you can over time. And the reality of the situation is that if you're going to get into e-bikes, you are going to see more depreciation than you do with standard bikes regardless. But our goal here is to mitigate that cost over time so that you don't get hit with these huge depreciation hits that cost you a lot of money. So guys, I want to hear what you think down in the comment section below. I think there's going to be a lot of people that get a big surprise when they go to sell their bike on how much it's actually worth versus what they paid. It's going to be a shock to the market as we move forward and as technology continues to progress into more efficient batteries, smaller motors with more power and more integrated controls. Hit up the comment section below, let me know what you're seeing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Bike 198 for more videos like this in the future. And until then, on to the next one. Thanks guys, see ya.